Hello and welcome to Leonard Brother Games. I'm David, and I'm recording over this episode as well as a series of tests to try to make sure these recordings work properly, and to record over the Super Mario All Stars plus Mario World. I had a long discussion about the history of Mario, only to find that the audio didn't record properly, so I'm going to try it this way, and hopefully it'll work out a little better. So anyways, since we covered in a previous episode about Donkey Kong Country, and a huge chunk of his history and how he had to share in the limelight pretty much with Mario Brothers. And so the way that Mario Brothers started out obviously is with the Mario and Luigi with the pipes. The original game that was Mario Brothers that was on Atari. There was also like a ColecoVision version and other systems. And they jumped underneath these blocks and hit Goombas and other creatures and picked up power-ups, and the basic concept of like a two-player, very hectic, competitive game appeared. And in this game, this is actually the remake. And back in the day with Super Mario All Stars, they took the first three games on the NES and then gave them better graphics, better effects, more visual effects in terms of this bonus signs. In the original version of the game, it was just the coins and new animations and basically updating it for 16-bit systems. And in this particular version, they threw in Super Mario World as well, even though that was a pack-in game. People all together on one cartridge, and so Nintendo delivered. But it was actually Nintendo of America, not Nintendo of Japan. So this version of Super Mario World, we probably won't be able to get to it just because I've recorded just this video. I had to talk as much as I can about Mario in general through the one video. The version of Mario World in this game is very different from the original, because in the original, Luigi is a sprite swap, a palette swap of Mario. He's the same build, he's got the same physics, the same movement, the same animations. Whereas in this version, Luigi jumps slightly higher, he runs slightly faster, and he has more edgy animations than Mario does. Mario does like a little victory sign, a little peace sign when he's done. In this version, Luigi crosses his arms like he's gangsta. He's bad. He's gonna rough you up, man. He's cool. And apparently that disagreed with Nintendo of Japan's view of Luigi, because if you remember Luigi's Mansion, he's this timid, scary little, I need my brother, I need a Mario, I can't survive without a Mario. And and that just, since it disagreed with their viewpoint, and I cannot make that jump to save my life. And I die. It's awesome. It's just terrible. I blame the controller in the...
But I have no idea. I think it's just because I'm talking over it while I'm trying to play it at the same time. If I were doing it like this method, just keeping quiet, recording, and then talking over it would probably turn out better. But that's beside the point. Anyways, what we know of, though, as Mario 2 was actually a game called Doki Doki Panic. For those of you who don't know, in Japan, the version that they initially released of Mario 2, which is also on here, called The Lost Levels, which is also available on the Virtual Console, at least for $8 or whatever. You can get the original NES version of Mario 2. Is extremely hard. It's like this for expert Mario players only. And look, the graphics and the effects and things were almost identical to the original, which Nintendo, also looking at the industry in general, seeing how Atari released a whole bunch of identical games like throughout its history and pretty much flooded the market with a bunch of garbage at that point. Nintendo decided to change its tune and say, you know what, we're going to release these games, making them completely different, completely original, and we're not going to, repeat the market, and we're not going to release a game that's ridiculously difficult on what we believe the American audience can't handle, although Japan should realize that I think just about every audience has groups of people who can play any kind of game, pretty much. But that was, the late 80s. What are they going to do? Anyways, we still got the game anyways in this pack, and what we got, though, was, being Doki Doki Panic, was a set in Arabian Nights kind of set. It had a feel to it, with mother, father, and two children
and they didn't have the run button because that was a Mario thing. No other characters could really have the same kind of physics as Mario did. But when they brought the game over, they ported the sprites to Mario, Luigi, Peach, and Toad. And that was one of the first few times you could actually play as Peach. And a lot of people look at that and look at, say Mario 3D World nowadays, where it's the same group: Mario, Peach, Luigi, and Toadstool. So, and also Rosalina as well. So it's nice to be able to, for the first time, be able to play Rosalina in a game. But that's much later on in the plot, the storyline, history of Mario. A lot of people think that Mario 3 was really the pinnacle of the Mario franchise in general because it introduced lots of different suits, other than just the mushroom just to make you grow larger. You had the Tanuki suit and the frog suit and the bunch of other different things too. That was more iconic version. But this is the game that really started it all. I think that without the original Super Mario Brothers, you wouldn't have platforming as we know it. You wouldn't have all of these advancements and changes in the industry that we have seen so brilliantly made. Because a lot of people there were platforms before this, but nothing like this one. Just like Apple computer, when they make new products, they may not be the first to market, but they are the most recognizable, the most iconic, the ones that really get things right. Whereas everybody else is just trying to test the market with different things. Nintendo saw what the industry was doing in general, and they with the hardware and with the software, they've made the Game Boy, even though there were systems like the TurboGrafx and the Game Gear that were color and had larger screens, but they took twice as many batteries and didn't last as long. It didn't have the game library that the Game Boy did, and they were also more expensive. So it took them I think about 5 or 6 years before they finally released Game Boy Color, and then got into Game Boy Advance and all these advancements that people had made generations beforehand, but they made them when the market was right for them. And I applaud Nintendo for doing that, and I think that despite the Wii U being already out of date, it's still going to be the only system that's going to make them a profit, because the Xbox One and PS4 are being sold at a loss. And Sony and Microsoft know that, and Nintendo knows that. Nintendo has a gigantic war chest, and what they need to do is just keep making more games like this. But of course, building up their Virtual Console library, you won't see this on Virtual Console because it's already been released as the Mario 25th Anniversary Edition on the Wii, except without Mario World. Because as I said earlier, the Mario World in this version was made by Nintendo of America, not Nintendo of Japan, and since it disagreed with their feel of being the old style, this new, I'm scared,
New style Luigi, they just spread out all together. So I got in this cartridge for I think like $15. So it had the whole set. I didn't need to buy anything else to get the first 4 Mario games, just like Sonic Jam has the first 4 Sonic games on one cartridge. And this has full saves too. So you have unlimited continues, save wherever you want, switch between games without having to switch cartridges. Very fantastic, very good version of, if you want to play these games, like the definitive copies are these. And even the graphics, with the smiley faces and stuff, obviously it took more cues from Mario World as well. So normally the clouds were all the same size, very small and very pixelated, but now they got more like Mario World clouds, and same death animations, because that's always just embarrassingly fun. But one thing I've noticed in other ports of the game, and like the Game Boy Color version of Mario DX, they actually patch the -1 world. So there's an issue when earlier on the video, I went above the initial warp pipe to get to World 4, and then I found the other beanstalk that led me up to World 8 here, so I'm at practically the end of the game by moving through using all those warp shortcuts. But there was also a glitch that if you were to break like the 3rd block away from the opening pipe and jump while ducking,
you could glitch through the wall. And if you went through the first pipe you saw without going all the way to the end, because that would trigger the thing to warp to World 4, you would instead warp to World -1. And World -1 is like an unending, unlimited water world. So it's like underwater, the same loop of water over and over and over again, and it will kill you. There's no mushrooms, there's no power ups, there's nothing to keep you alive, and it doesn't matter how good you are at the game. There's no ending to it, so you will eventually mess up and you will eventually just die, and then you'll have to restart the game. But that has been patched in later versions, but not in the re-releases though. So if you get like the Mario All Stars, even though they had every opportunity when they were coding the game to work with newer systems to fix that, they didn't. So that bug is still in there. And for some reason, in this section of the game, there are all these crazy jumps, and somehow I'm able to make them without any issue. And I don't know how, but like they're like, whoa. I guess it's because I wasn't really quite talking as much, or actually I've actually used this warp jump, quite often, and maybe by now I was just getting used to the Super Nintendo controller at that point. I don't know.